Chapter 4284. Lu Ming glanced at the man. Apparently, the young man was the leader of the heavenly human tribe, and the others were surrounding him like stars surrounding the moon. Beside the young man, there was an old acquaintance of Lu Ming. Yi Yu. Yi Yu was a peerless genius of the heavenly human tribe, and he was standing beside the young man. It could be seen how extraordinary this young man was. Yi Yu, I heard that you were defeated by this kid. The young man in the lead laughed and said to Yi Yu. Yi Yu's face was ugly as he stared at Lu Ming, wishing he could crush Lu Ming into ashes. Yi Chu Fengcheng, don't underestimate Mu Yun. His combat strength is extremely shocking. Yi Yu reminded. I won't do it myself. The young man in the lead, named Yi Chu Fengcheng, laughed and then looked at Lu Ming greedily. Attack together, don't let this kid escape. Then, Yi Chu Fengcheng gave the order. Kill, this kid is mine. As soon as Yi Chu Fengcheng's voice fell, hundreds of experts rushed toward Lu Ming. The combat strength of these people was extremely shocking, including those in the prime of their lives. Their combat strength was far beyond their peers, and the power of hundreds of people attacking together was terrifying. After the hundreds of people attacked, Yi Chu Fengcheng, Yi Yu, and a few other top geniuses of the heavenly human tribe also attacked. They mixed in the crowd and launched their strongest attacks. Do you think I'll escape? Lu Ming had a contemptuous smile at the corner of his mouth. Would he escape in a battle of the same level? What a joke! Boom! Lu Ming's body emitted a dazzling light, like a burning flame, and many secret techniques were activated at the same time. Lu Ming threw out a few punches in succession, and a few fist forces rushed out. Wherever they passed, all the attacks were instantly destroyed, and the fist forces did not stop and continued to attack those people. Bam! 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 Wherever the fist forces passed, those people exploded one by one. At least 30 people were killed by Lu Ming in a breath's time. Unstoppable, truly unstoppable. These so-called geniuses were completely unable to withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. The others sucked in a breath of cold air. Their bodies tensed up as they crazily erupted with power. However, this time, he didn't attack Lu Ming. Instead, he retreated. They had never imagined that Lu Ming's battle prowess would actually be this powerful. It was truly too terrifying. Kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly. His body instantly rushed forward and blasted out a few more punches. This time, the target was Yi Chu, Fengcheng, Yi Yu, and the other top geniuses. The space here was extremely stable, and it was difficult to tear it apart. In this way, the friction between the fist force and the space caused a terrifying explosion, and it looked even more shocking. Even before the fist energy arrived, the terrifying energy had already caused Yi Chu, Fengcheng, and the others to be unable to breathe properly. Not good. At this moment, Yi Chu, Fengcheng, and the others' hearts were trembling. In that instant, Yi Chu Fengcheng knew that he was definitely no match for Lu Ming. At this moment, he felt a fatal crisis. Heavenly punishment! Yi Chu Fengcheng roared. A sword light condensed in his hand. This sword light was formed by one of the 4 strongest heavenly forces, the heavenly punishment power. And judging by the level of its power, it was much more powerful than Yi Yu's heavenly punishment power. This person is able to fight across about 7 levels in the Divine Emperor realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. In the Divine Emperor realm, to be able to fight someone who was 7 levels higher than him was definitely a genius among geniuses, a monster among monsters. Even Yi Yu could only fight across 6 levels. Apart from the heavenly human tribe, the strongest race in the universe that Lu Ming had seen could only fight across 5 levels. If he had encountered others at the same level, no one would be a match for Yi Chu Fengcheng. Unfortunately, he had encountered Lu Ming, so he had to fight with his life. Heavenly punishment! Heavenly punishment! Yi Yu and the other top geniuses also roared and used the 4 strongest heavenly forces. Although their control was far inferior to Yi Chu Fengcheng's, they still had the ability to fight across 6 levels. A total of 5 top heavenly human tribe geniuses used the strongest heavenly forces, hoping to block Lu Ming's attack. Boom! Boom! Everything in the Taishang Immortal City was too stable. Even with their destructive power, they could only create a 12-meter-wide pit. Then, the 5 figures retreated rapidly. It was Yechu Fengcheng and the other 4. Their bodies were pushed back tens of thousands of meters. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and their faces were pale. They had already been severely injured by the previous attack. Even the strongest heavenly forces were instantly defeated by Lu Ming. "You're not dead. Looks like I'll have to use my full strength," Lu Ming mumbled. Every cell in his body trembled slightly. More secret skills and forbidden energy burst out. Lu Ming pushed his combat strength to the extreme. He had not used his full strength before. Otherwise, Yechu Fengcheng and the others would not have just been injured. "Set up the array, set up the array." At this moment, Yechu Fengcheng screamed crazily. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with fear. He was really scared. He rarely felt scared when fighting against people of the same level, but he was really scared now. He was afraid of being killed by Lu Ming. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The heavenly human tribe members gathered around Yechu Fengcheng and Yi Yu. There were originally more than 30 heavenly human tribe members. A few of them were killed by Lu Ming, so there were still 29 of them left. The 29 heavenly human tribe members gathered together and their auras formed a resonance. Their auras intertwined and formed a huge figure. Array. Is this an array unique to the heavenly human tribe? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Obviously, the people of the other tribes did not participate in setting up the array. This was obviously an array unique to the heavenly human tribe and was related to their bloodline. Then let me see what's so special about the heavenly human tribe's array. Lu Ming shouted softly and took a step forward. He was like an ancient giant beast walking. With every step he took, there was an explosion in the void. At the same time, Lu Ming clenched his fist and a long spear condensed in the void. This was one of the 3,000 ancient secret skills, the Great Divine Spear Art. The Great Divine Spear Art was formed by the forbidden energy. It contained many ancient secret skills such as the Great Art of Destruction, the Great Art of Aurora, and the Great Art of Shattering. Boom! The long spear became incomparably huge and then stabbed toward Yechu Fengcheng and the others. Kill! Yechu Fengcheng roared. He was the core of the array and activated it with all his might. They condensed into a huge figure. It looked like a huge heavenly human. It held a golden battle sword in its hand and slashed violently at Lu Ming. Clang! The attacks of the two sides collided and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Countless forces rushed in all directions. In the violent shockwave, Lu Ming's body swayed and he took a few steps back. However, Yechu Fengcheng and the others also retreated. Chapter 4285. Yechu Fengcheng and the others retreated at the same time as Lu Ming. They were on par with each other. Interesting. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. After the heavenly human tribesmen joined forces to set up the array, their combat strength had indeed soared. Lu Ming had already pushed his combat strength to the extreme, reaching the level where he could fight across 9 levels, but he was still blocked by his opponents. Lu Ming was surprised, but he did not know that Yechu Fengcheng and the others were even more shocked. They were well aware of how extraordinary the array they had set up was. However, they could not do anything to Lu Ming. Is this the forbidden body? His combat strength is indeed terrifying. Some people's hearts trembled, feeling envy, jealousy, and hatred. Mu Yun's forbidden body was not a secret. Many top geniuses in the Heavenly Palace knew about it, but few knew that Lu Ming and Mu Yun were the same person. "Let us break your array," Lu Ming said and continued to step forward. He swept out his long spear and attacked Yechu Fengcheng and the others. "Attack!" Yechu Fengcheng shouted. They continued to control the array and fought Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! Next, they continued to attack. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 blows, but there was no clear winner. During this time, Lu Ming tried to use the battle formula, but it was a pity that he could not increase his combat strength. The limit of the Divine Emperor realm was that he could only fight across 9 levels. No matter how many tricks he had, he could not surpass that limit. Now, Lu Ming did not need to activate the fight formula to reach the level where he could fight across 9 levels. After activating the fight formula, his combat ability would not increase. Fighting across 9 levels is the limit of the Divine Emperor realm. When I reach the Divine Emperor realm, this limit will be lifted. I must reach the Divine Emperor realm as soon as possible, Lu Ming murmured to himself. The limit of fighting across 9 levels was only for the Divine Emperor realm. Once he reached the Divine Emperor realm, this limit would disappear and his combat strength would be even stronger. The two sides continued to fight. Those who were not from the heavenly human tribe had long left as they knew that this was not something they could interfere with. The two sides exchanged more than 100 blows, but there was no clear winner. Retreat. At this time, Yechu Fengcheng roared, giving the order to retreat. He felt extremely aggrieved in his heart, but he had no choice. That was because he was already injured. Although he had set up a formation and its power had increased greatly, if the battle continued for a long time, it would be very disadvantageous for them. If their injuries were not healed for a long time, it might affect their foundation. Therefore, he decided to temporarily retreat. Go. The 29 heavenly human tribe powerful beings slowly retreated while maintaining the spell formation. Retreated? Didn't you want to kill me? Is that all you've got? Lu Ming sneered, a look of great disappointment on his face. Yi Chu, Fengcheng, Yi Yu, and the others nearly vomited blood. Their faces were ashen, but there was nothing they could do to Lu Ming, so they could only retreat. Brat, just you wait. It won't be long before I bring your head back. I will step over your corpse to become the son of heaven. Yechu Fengcheng roared in his heart as he continued to maintain his retreating posture. Lu Ming gave chase for a while and then stopped. He did not continue the chase. This was because he could not do anything to them if he continued to chase. After the formation was set up, their combat strength was not weaker than his. Moreover, he did not want to waste time. He wanted to get to the body tree stump as soon as possible. In the blink of an eye, Yechu Fengcheng and the others disappeared in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming continued to fly in the direction of the body tree stump. In another direction, Yechu Fengcheng and the others flew continuously for a few million miles before stopping. Damn Mu Yun, you despicable bastard, I will tear you to pieces. Yechu Fengcheng kept roaring in his heart, his eyes were extremely ferocious. Yechu Fengcheng, what should we do now? Yi Yu asked. Yechu Fengcheng's talent was stronger than his, and his status in the heavenly human tribe was also higher than his. Therefore, for Yechu Fengcheng's face, he had to pretend to ask Yechu Fengcheng. Even though he already had an idea in his heart. Send someone to secretly observe Mu Yun's movements. As for us, look for natural treasures and break through to the Emperor God realm as soon as possible. Mu Yun will definitely die then, Yechu Fengcheng said coldly. Although he was furious, he did not lose his composure. He already had a plan in his heart. This is the only way now. Yi Yu nodded. Yechu Fengcheng's plan was the same as his. There were many natural treasures in the Taishang Immortal City, many of which were very useful to them. Their cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th Divine Emperor realm, and they were not too far away from the Emperor God realm. As long as they combined the natural treasures here, they would be able to quickly break through the bottleneck and reach the Emperor God realm. Once they reached the Emperor God realm, it would be easy to kill Mu Yun. Immediately, they began to prepare to break through to the Emperor God realm. Lu Ming continued to fly toward the body tree stump. After that, nothing unexpected happened. With Lu Ming's fighting strength, he was not afraid of anyone on the first floor. Although there were many people under the control of the Heavenly Palace and the Heavenly Palace, Lu Ming had encountered many people along the way. These people all wanted to kill Lu Ming and become the son or daughter of Heavenly Palace. Many people also tried to kill him and used all kinds of methods. However, Lu Ming defeated all of them quickly and killed them. Along the way, he had encountered 6 assassination attempts and 5 encirclements. Lu Ming had defeated all of them. In total, more than 200 9th Divine Emperor realm cultivators had died at Lu Ming's hands. Of course, there were no geniuses like Yi Yu. Because of the encirclement, Lu Ming had been delayed for a while. He arrived at the body tree stump 2 days later than he had expected. That's the body tree stump. It's too big, isn't it? Lu Ming looked to the front and could not help widening his eyes in shock. There was indeed a tree stump in front of him. However, it was too big. It stood on the ground like a continent. The tree roots were like incomparably huge mountain ranges. They were rooted in the ground like gods lying there. Even from a distance, he could feel an ancient and desolate qi. It was as if an invincible being was sitting there cross-legged. Lu Ming saw that there were already some people sitting cross-legged on the ordinary tree stump. They seemed to be comprehending something. Lu Ming flew over. When he got closer, he realized that the body tree stump was too big. Its surface was as smooth as a mirror. This should have been a complete body tree. It seems to have been cut down by someone, Lu Ming guessed. Lu Ming landed on the body tree stump and saw another shocking scene. In the center of the body tree stump, there was a figure sitting cross-legged there. Most importantly, this figure was not real. It seemed to be illusory. It was faintly discernible. His hair was disheveled and he was extremely huge. Just sitting there, he was 10,000 zhong tall and emitted an incomparably powerful qi. End of chapter. Chapter 4286. The towering figure at the center of the body tree stump exuded a powerful and ancient aura. It was as if it had traveled through time to appear there. It's just a shadow. Is it an expert from the last era? Did he leave a mark here? Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. It had been a long time since the last era. It was unimaginably long. If it was really a mark left behind by an expert from the previous era who had comprehended the Tao here, then the cultivation of the owner of the mark would be unimaginably high. Lu Ming's arrival immediately attracted the attention of those who had been cultivating on the body tree stump. There were about 100 people. These people cast their gazes toward Lu Ming. It's him, Mu Yun. It's Mu Yun. Very good. Without exception, their eyes were filled with murderous intent. If they killed Lu Ming, they would be crowned as the son of heaven or the daughter of heaven. That was too tempting. Even though many people knew that Lu Ming was powerful, they still couldn't control their greed. Die. Some people's eyes were bloodshot as if they had lost their minds due to greed. They directly charged at Lu Ming. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. When one person acted, the others followed suit. Only a few people were rational and didn't rush to act. The others all charged at Lu Ming. We were cultivating on our own. Unfortunately, you want to die. I have no choice but to fulfill your wish. Lu Ming whispered. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward. His body was like a beam of light as he charged at a young genius. Fast, too fast. Lu Ming's body flashed like a beam of light. Then, blood splattered everywhere. The young genius of the 9th godly Emperor Leia was beheaded. His eyes were wide open. He couldn't accept it. He was a peerless genius, one of the candidates for the Universe Young Geniuses list. He had a chance to compete for the Universe Young Geniuses list in the future. Yet, he had been killed just like that. His lofty aspirations instantly vanished into thin air. Lu Ming didn't care that he had just killed one of the candidates for the Universe Genius list. In fact, he had already killed more than 10 geniuses of this level along the way. After killing this person, Lu Ming's figure did not stop at all. He continued to kill other people. On the body tree stump, an aurora flashed incessantly. Every time it flashed, it meant that someone had been killed. In a breath's time, Lu Ming had attacked more than 50 times. More than 50 experts had fallen at Lu Ming's hands. This time, the others finally calmed down. It was as if a basin of cold water had been poured over their heads, extinguishing the flames of greed in their hearts. This person is too strong, retreat quickly. This person is a demon. The remaining people retreated frantically, not daring to attack Lu Ming. Although the position of son of heaven or daughter of heaven was very tempting, the difference between them and Lu Ming was too great. Going up was just throwing away their lives. What was the use of status if they lost their lives? The dozen or so people who hadn't attacked were also sweating profusely. They secretly rejoiced that they hadn't attacked just now. Otherwise, they would have been the ones to die. In the blink of an eye, those who had attacked just now all fled. Only the dozen or so people who hadn't attacked were left. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the dozen or so people like lightning. He said in a cold voice, "I'll give you 3 breaths of time to scram." The dozen or so people's expressions changed. Mu Yun, this body tree stump is so big that it's enough for tens of thousands of people to comprehend at the same time. Aren't you being too overbearing by chasing us away and monopolizing this place? A burly man shouted. That's right, you can't be too overbearing. Another young man also shouted. 3. Lu Ming counted down coldly. The dozen or so people's expressions turned even uglier. Mu Yun, don't go too far. Someone shouted. So what if I go too far? Those who want to die can stay. 2. Lu Ming continued to count down. These people were ridiculous. They had clearly revealed their killing intent and wanted to attack Lu Ming. However, they were a little more cautious and deliberately delayed their attacks. Did they think that Lu Ming couldn't see through them? Lu Ming was already being merciful by chasing them away instead of killing them directly. Let's go. Seeing that Lu Ming was about to count to 1, these people didn't dare to stay any longer. They rushed in all directions and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After these people left, Lu Ming's gaze turned to the figure in the center of the body tree stump. Then, he stepped forward and walked toward the figure. The figure looked like a middle-aged man in his 50s. His hair was disheveled and he sat there as if he was comprehending some kind of great Tao. His figure was faintly discernible and there was a mysterious aura coming from him. Lu Ming seemed to be fascinated and kept walking toward the figure. Slowly, Lu Ming approached the figure and then sat down cross-legged next to the figure. In an instant, Lu Ming felt that he had fallen into a strange state. At this moment, it was as if the great Tao of the world had taken the initiative to appear in his mind. Lu Ming immediately figured out many problems that he couldn't figure out. This feeling was very similar to the feeling that the primordial divine voice gave him, but there were also some differences. Under the influence of the primordial divine voice, one would comprehend all kinds of secret techniques very quickly. However, in this place, not only could it help one comprehend secret techniques, it could also help one comprehend the great Tao. In Lu Ming's mind, his past experiences and all the magical powers and secret skills that he had cultivated in the past flashed across his mind. Then, they gradually faded and became blurry. Afterward, a mysterious feeling rose again. Lu Ming's heart couldn't help but beat faster. He knew that this mysterious feeling was very likely the path that he wanted to take. It was his unique path. As long as he grasped it and comprehended it, he would be able to walk his own path, break through the bottleneck, and become an emperor god. He wanted to grasp it, but it was just a mysterious feeling. It was like a dream. He couldn't grasp it no matter how hard he tried. Lu Ming knew that he couldn't rush it. To be able to find this feeling so quickly was already a huge improvement. This feeling was similar to inspiration. In other places, no matter how hard one tried, no matter how much time one spent, it would be difficult to find such inspiration. But here, he was able to find it in an instant. This showed how mysterious the body tree stump was. Lu Ming knew that he couldn't rush it. As long as he grasped this feeling and slowly comprehended it, he would eventually be able to see the clear sky. Lu Ming calmed down and meditated. Time flew by. Soon, a year had passed. During this year, there were naturally people who came and saw Lu Ming. When these people saw that Lu Ming was cultivating, they naturally wanted to kill Lu Ming. However, they couldn't get close to Lu Ming at all. Before they could get close to Lu Ming, they were suppressed by the aura emitted by the figure in the center of the body tree stump. Moreover, Lu Ming also paid attention to the situation outside. These people naturally couldn't deal with Lu Ming. Chapter 4287. After a year of cultivation, Lu Ming had made great progress. Initially, he only had a mysterious feeling about the path that he wanted to take. It was as if there were layers of fog in front of him, blocking his eyes and making it difficult for him to see the truth. But now, after a year of cultivation, Lu Ming had already peeled away some of these layers of fog. The path ahead was much clearer. As long as he was given some time, he would definitely be able to comprehend his own secret skill and walk his own path. During that time, many of the geniuses who had come from the outside had made great progress. Especially those who had the strength of the top of the 9th godly emperor layer. After entering the supreme celestial city, they had used the treasures there to advance by leaps and bounds. Many of them had broken through to the great supreme god layer. For example, Yi Chu Fengcheng, Yi Yu, and the others. A powerful qi emerged from a tall mountain. A silhouette rose up in the air, his golden hair fluttering in the wind. It was Yi Chu Fengcheng. At that moment, his qi was many times stronger than before. His strength dashed to the skies. It was terrifying. He had broken through to the first great supreme god layer. I finally broke through to the first great supreme god layer. Mu Yun, let's see how you'll die this time, shouted Yi Chu Fengcheng furiously. His eyes were filled with murder. Congratulations, Prince Fengcheng, you've broken through to the great supreme god layer. You'll soon become the son of heaven. A few burly heavenly human tribe cultivators flew over and bowed respectfully. At the same time, they also began to flatter him. Yi Chu Fengcheng smiled and said, I want you to pay attention to Mu Yun's whereabouts. Do you have any news? Yes, Mu Yun has been practicing cultivation at the body tree for the past year. Replied a strong man. He hasn't broken through, right? Asked Yi Chu Fengcheng. No, he hasn't done anything. Replied a strong man. Very good. I've heard that it's extremely difficult to break through to the next great supreme god layer. That little boy must have reached a bottleneck. Yi Yu and the others are about to break through to the next great supreme god layer. When they break through to the next great supreme god layer, we'll kill Mu Yun together and let him live for a few more days. Said Yi Chu Fengcheng coldly. In the last battle, he had been beaten up by Lu Ming to the point that he was a little scared. He had no confidence in himself. Even though he had broken through, he still didn't dare to charge over alone. He wanted to wait for the others to break through to the God Emperor realm before charging over together. That way, if anything were to happen, they would be able to set up an array formation and be in an invincible position. A large number of heavenly humans and heavenly palace geniuses had gathered in this area, as well as some heavenly soldiers. Every few days, someone would break through to the God Emperor realm. 3 months later, more than 60 of them had broken through to the Emperor God realm. As for the others, they failed to break through. One had to admit that the environment of the Supreme Immortal City was simply too good. If they were outside, it would be impossible for so many of them to break through to the God Emperor realm. Even if these people were all geniuses, their breakthroughs shouldn't have been that high. It wasn't easy to break through to the great Supreme God layer. Most people were stuck at the top of the 9th godly Emperor layer. Therefore, when the Grand Supreme Immortal City appeared, it shook the entire primitive universe. Almost all the geniuses had entered. If they didn't enter the Grand Supreme Immortal City, their cultivation would be surpassed by others. It would be difficult for them to catch up. More than 60 people had broken through to the God Emperor realm. This made Yechu Fengcheng very confident. Let's go to the body tree stump. Kill Mu Yun, then break through the void and enter the second level. Yechu Fengcheng gave the order. In the first level, Yechu Fengcheng had the highest status in the heavenly palace. Naturally, the others listened to him. A group of people flew toward the body tree stump in a mighty manner. More than 10 days later, they arrived at the body tree stump. Mu Yun, that brat, is really here. Yechu Fengcheng looked at the body tree stump with cold killing intent in his eyes. The others were the same. Their eyes were filled with killing intent as they looked at Lu Ming as if he was a precious treasure. These guys are here. Lu Ming was cultivating on the body tree stump, but he could still sense Yechu Fengcheng and the others' arrival. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. This was the crucial period of his cultivation. The fog in front of him was getting thinner and thinner. He was also getting clearer of the path he had to take. But he was still a little bit away from completely breaking through. Yechu Fengcheng and the others had come at the wrong time. Forget it. Continue cultivating. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he continued to comprehend. At the same time, all kinds of defensive ancient secret techniques were activated. For example, the Great Defense Technique, layers of light shields, and tortoise shells appeared and enveloped Lu Ming. HMPH. So what if you have a good defense? You're still going to die. Let's attack together and kill Mu Yun. Yechu Fengcheng's cold voice sounded as he rushed toward the body tree stump. The others followed closely behind Yechu Fengcheng. They flew up the body tree stump and rushed toward Lu Ming. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Before they arrived, attacks were already flying toward Lu Ming. However, the figure in the center of the body tree stump was emitting a mysterious aura. Before these attacks could reach Lu Ming, they automatically dissipated upon contact with the aura emitted by the figure. How is this possible? Could this figure be left behind from the last era? Yechu Fengcheng was shocked. A figure left behind from the last era. I don't know how long it has been dead. How dare you try to stop me? Heavenly punishment, break. Yechu Fengcheng shouted and activated the heavenly punishment. A sword light slashed toward Lu Ming. However, the situation was the same as before. Before the sword gleam condensed by the power of heavenly punishment could get close to Lu Ming, it was melted by the aura emitted by the figure and disappeared without a trace. It was like a drop of water falling into the sea, without causing any ripples. How is this possible? How can one of the strongest heavenly energy of my clan be dissolved so easily? Yechu Fengcheng shouted in disbelief. He found it hard to accept the situation. The power of the heavenly punishment was one of the 4 strongest powers of the heavenly human tribe. It was invincible and there was nothing it could not destroy. However, before it could even get close, it had been dissolved. This was a huge blow to his confidence. Heavenly punishment. Heavenly annihilation. On the side, Yechu Fengcheng and the others did not believe it and also attacked. The heavenly punishment and heavenly annihilation blasted toward Lu Ming. However, the result was the same as Yechu Fengcheng. Before they could get close to Lu Ming, they automatically dissolved. This was a huge blow to the people of the heavenly human tribe. This was the strongest force of the heavenly human tribe. How could it be so useless? The cultivation of the owner of this figure is too strong. That's why he can dissolve our power. It's not that our clan's supreme power is too weak. Since our attacks can't get close, we'll go over personally and close the distance. Yechu Fengcheng was a peerless genius after all. He quickly calmed down and gave the order. Chapter 4288. Yechu Fengcheng and the others stopped attacking Lu Ming. Instead, they rushed towards Lu Ming. They wanted to close the distance between them and attack again. More than 60 people rushed towards Lu Ming. They were all experts who had broken through to the Emperor God realm. However, when they were a certain distance away from Lu Ming, they felt a pressure. This pressure came from the figure under the body tree. This pressure caused the speed of these people to slow down. Continue. Yechu Fengcheng shouted and continued to rush towards Lu Ming. However, although these people had reached the first layer of the Emperor God realm, their strength differed. For example, when they were in the Divine Emperor realm, the weakest could only fight across 2 levels. The strongest, Yechu Fengcheng, could fight across 7 levels. The difference in strength was huge. Therefore, some of the weaker ones slowed down the most. They were already struggling. However, Yechu Fengcheng and the others were not affected. They were still very fast. As the crowd moved forward, the difference in strength became more obvious. The weaker ones became slower and slower. In the end, some of them stopped and could not move forward. Slowly, only a few people continued to move forward. After a few minutes, only 5 people were still able to move forward. These 5 people were Yechu Fengcheng, Yechu Yu, and the other strongest geniuses of the heavenly human tribe. When they were in the Divine Emperor realm, they could fight across 6 levels. Although they were under great pressure, they could still bear it. They kept moving forward. Soon, they were less than 10 meters away from Lu Ming. This distance was already within the range of Lu Ming's defense. Mu Yun, die. Yechu Fengcheng shouted and attacked aggressively. The power of the heavenly punishment was aimed at Lu Ming. At the same time, Yechu and the other three also attacked. They were all using the strongest heavenly punishment. The terrifying attack whistled and rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not fight back. It was a crucial moment for him to cultivate. Come, let me borrow your attack and your threat to break through in one fell swoop. Lu Ming roared in his heart, his eyes revealing a ferocious look. Yi Chu, Fengcheng, and the others had already reached the God Emperor realm. Their battle prowess had increased tremendously, and they posed a fatal threat to Lu Ming. Their combat strength was enough to kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming wanted to borrow the threat of others to stimulate his own potential. Then, with the help of the body tree stump and the primordial godstone, he would be able to break through and pave his own path. Boom 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 boom. 5 consecutive explosions rang out as 5 attacks landed on Lu Ming's body. The layers of defense on Lu Ming's body continued to shatter. Yi Chu, Fengcheng, and the others were originally peerless monstrous geniuses with strong battle prowess. Now that they had broken through to the God Emperor realm, their battle prowess had completely surpassed Lu Ming's. The layers of defense on Lu Ming's body were torn apart one after another. More than 200 layers of defense were torn apart by Yi Chu, Fengcheng, and the others. The terrifying power bombarded Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body was sent flying, sliding a few thousand miles away. There were a few big holes in his body. It was tattered, his bones and flesh were flying everywhere, and fresh blood was flowing. It was a horrible sight to behold. Obviously, this move had severely injured Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming had a forbidden body. As long as all of his cells were not destroyed, he would be fine. However, Yi Chu, Fengcheng, and the others were overjoyed. Mu Yun is severely injured. He's dead for sure. Yi Chu, Fengcheng's eyes were bright and filled with joy. It was as if he could already see the day when he would be crowned as the Son of Heaven. Mu Yun, die. Yi Chu, Fengcheng roared. He took a step forward and charged at Lu Ming alone. Lu Ming was already severely injured. Naturally, he had to do the last move himself. Only then would he be able to take all the credit. Soon, he approached Lu Ming again. However, at this moment, there was no panic in Lu Ming's eyes. There was only surprise. Yes, surprise. At the moment of life and death, he finally understood. He peeled away the fog and saw his path clearly. He had finally comprehended a secret technique that belonged to him. Breakthrough. Lu Ming growled. His body emitted a dazzling light as if he had turned into a spear. Since he started cultivating, most of the weapons he used were spears. Therefore, when he was comprehending his secret technique, he subconsciously used the spear as the foundation. The secret technique he comprehended was similar to spear techniques. Whoosh! An incomparably sharp spear light soared into the sky and pierced through the sky. It also pierced through Lu Ming's bottleneck. Boom! A powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. This aura was incomparably powerful. It was more than 10 times stronger than before. This was no longer the aura of a divine emperor. It belonged to a divine emperor. Breakthrough. Lu Ming finally broke through the bottleneck and broke through to the divine emperor realm after comprehending his own secret technique. Once he broke through to the divine emperor realm, power constantly emerged from the depths of Lu Ming's body. The injuries on Lu Ming's body healed at an astonishing speed. Boom! Lu Ming threw out a punch. A destructive force crushed out and collided with Yi Chu Fengcheng's attack. Yi Chu Fengcheng's attack instantly dissipated. Breakthrough? How is this possible? Yi Chu Fengcheng roared. Lu Ming had clearly not broken through just now. Then, he was severely injured by them and looked like he was about to die. A person who was about to die had suddenly broken through to the divine emperor realm. Who would believe it? I let you guys go last time. Now that you're acting recklessly again, I'll get rid of you completely, Lu Ming said coldly. His body was filled with cold killing intent. He took a step forward and quickly closed in on Yi Chu Fengcheng. Boom! Another punch was thrown out. Vast and boundless power crushed towards Yi Chu Fengcheng. The terrifying power caused Yi Chu Fengcheng's pupils to shrink rapidly. The power of this punch was not something he could withstand. Lu Ming had just broken through and his strength was already above him. Yi Chu Fengcheng frantically retreated to the side of Yi Yu and the others. He roared, "Let's attack together. Heavenly punishment! Heavenly punishment!" Yi Chu Fengcheng, Yi Yu, and the others frantically attacked and collided with Lu Ming's fist force. However, the result was that they were pushed back and coughed up blood. "I've just broken through and my strength has yet to reach the peak. What a pity," Lu Ming muttered in his heart. He had just broken through and his cultivation was still rising. Hence, the move just now had only injured Yi Chu Fengcheng and the others. It did not kill them. "Retreat, retreat quickly. Set up a formation to kill this brat. He has just broken through and his cultivation is still unstable." Yi Chu Fengcheng roared. He retreated with Yi Yu and the others to join the other divine emperors of the heavenly human tribe. During this period, they had gathered more heavenly human tribe experts. There were more than 60 people who had broken through to the divine emperor realm. Half of them were from the heavenly human tribe. There were a total of 32 people. This was more than the 29 people who had set up the formation to deal with Lu Ming previously. 32 people, all of whom had broken through to the divine emperor realm. After setting up the formation, its power was even more terrifying. Chapter 4289. After these few times, Yechu Fengcheng was already afraid of Lu Ming. Therefore, when he realized that the situation was not right, he immediately formed a battle formation and wanted to use his strongest power to kill Lu Ming. The 32 heavenly human tribe cultivators of the first great supreme god layer intertwined with each other and condensed into a giant figure. That figure held a battle sword and charged towards Lu Ming. That sword contained 3 kinds of heavenly strength: heavenly punishment, and heavenly extermination. "Come." Lu Ming stepped forward. His body was emitting a dazzling light like a burning flame. He punched out, and a huge fist energy containing destructive power blasted toward the huge figure formed by the heavenly human tribe's array formation. The fist energy collided with the battle sword. There was a loud explosion and the battle sword was blocked. Lu Ming's fist energy was dispersed and he was pushed back a few steps. Lu Ming was at a slight disadvantage in this move. After all, he had just broken through. Yi Chu Fengcheng and the others were overjoyed when they saw that Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. "That's right. This boy has just broken through and his fighting strength is not strong. Let's kill him in one go," Yi Chu Fengcheng shouted. The 32 heavenly human tribe cultivators activated the formation and rushed towards Lu Ming. The giant figure waved its battle sword and slashed towards Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! They exchanged a few more blows and Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage. Yi Chu Fengcheng and the others were even more confident. They attacked with all their strength and wanted to kill Lu Ming as soon as possible. "Let's try the battle formula." Lu Ming was at a disadvantage, but he was not worried at all. He still had trump cards that he had not used yet. For example, the battle formula. When he was at the Divine Emperor realm, he could only use his fighting strength that was 9 levels higher than him. Therefore, even if he used the battle formula, his fighting strength would not increase. However, it was different now. Now that he had broken through to the Divine Emperor realm, the Divine Emperor realm's restriction had disappeared. He should be able to use more strength. In an instant, the battle formula was activated. Boom! Lu Ming's body surged with an even stronger power. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming punched out continuously with both fists. Streams of fist energy shot out like meteors toward the heavenly human tribe's array formation. This time, the situation was completely different from before. The terrifying fist force smashed apart the sword radiance condensed from the celestial clan's formation, blasting the enormous figure until its body trembled and its radiance dimmed. As for Yechu, Fengcheng, and the others, their bodies shook violently as they retreated. They felt the blood in their bodies churning, and they almost vomited blood. Their eyes widened in shock. How is this possible? What's going on? How did his battle prowess suddenly soar? Yechu Fengcheng roared hysterically. He couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out at all. It was the same for Yi Yu and the others. Lu Ming had clearly exerted all of his strength before, so why did his current strength soar again? You can't even understand such a simple logic. In the Divine Emperor realm, crossing 9 levels is the limit. I was limited. Now that I've broken through to the Divine Emperor realm, the limit has been lifted. Of course, I'm stronger. Do you understand? Lu Ming's indifferent voice sounded. The reason why he explained it was that he wanted to attack Yechu Fengcheng and the others, hoping that there would be a flaw in the array formation. As expected, when Yechu Fengcheng and the others heard Lu Ming's words, they were all shocked and incredulous. Impossible, this is impossible. Yechu Fengcheng seemed to have suffered a huge blow and yelled crazily. He found it hard to believe and accept. What did Lu Ming say? His battle prowess was limited when he was at the Divine Emperor realm? He had reached the point where he could fight across 9 levels and still be limited. 9 levels was already the limit. Who could reach that point? Yechu Fengcheng had reached the point where he could fight across 7 levels and was known as a peerless genius of the heavenly human tribe. There weren't many of them even in the entire heavenly human tribe. In the universe, those who had reached the point where they could fight across 4 levels were known as peerless geniuses and were candidates for the universe genius list. However, Lu Ming had reached the point where he could fight across 9 levels, but that wasn't the limit. Because he was limited, it was difficult for him to unleash his strongest battle prowess. It was infuriating to compare oneself to others. The blow they had received was too great. Under the shock of Yechu Fengcheng and the others, a flaw naturally appeared in the array formation. The enormous figure shuddered for a moment before its light dimmed. Although it was only for a short moment, it was enough for Lu Ming. The Heavenly Palace wants to bully me. Then I'll call this secret technique the sky-breaking technique. Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. His body emitted a dazzling light and his entire body turned into a long spear. Whoosh! Lu Ming turned into a long spear and flew through the air, piercing toward Yechu Fengcheng and the others. This secret technique was created by Lu Ming himself. It was a unique secret technique created by himself on the basis of the tens of thousands of ordinary secret techniques and more than 1,800 ancient secret techniques that he had previously mastered. It integrated the essence of many secret techniques and was the most suitable secret technique for Lu Ming. Lu Ming called this secret technique the sky-breaking technique. This was the first secret technique he had created. There would be more in the future. A self-created secret skill was the most suitable for him to cast. It would also be more powerful. When cast, it would be more powerful than any of the secret skills that Lu Ming had mastered. After using this secret technique, Lu Ming's battle prowess reached its current peak. The first to bear the brunt of the attack was the huge figure formed by the array formation. The long spear collided with the huge figure. With a boom, the figure formed by the array formation exploded. The long spear didn't stop and pierced the array formation set up by Yechu Fengcheng and the others. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. Dazzling lights filled the air. The 32 strong cultivators of the heavenly human clan were violently shaken. 5 or 6 of them, who were the weakest, were shaken violently. Their bodies were pierced through and blood flowed out. Then, they fell to the ground and stopped breathing. These 5 to 6 experts with the first layer of the Emperor God realm had been killed by Lu Ming's attack. As for the others, they all retreated rapidly. The array formation was broken. Die, said Lu Ming coldly. He jumped into the air and moved like lightning towards the retreating cultivators of the heavenly human clan. Spear light flashed and a few more cultivators of the first great supreme god layer were pierced through their foreheads. They were killed in the air. Without the array, these people would not be able to withstand a single blow from Lu Mingming if they were of the same level. Lu Ming's body kept flickering. Every time he flickered, a few people were killed. Those were the strong cultivators of the heavenly human clan. They were usually high and mighty, looking down on everyone. But now, they were as weak as little chicks. They kept dying in Lu Ming's hands. No, don't kill me. I don't want to die. You can't kill me, I'm from the heavenly human clan. These heavenly humans kept yelling, trying to survive. However, Lu Ming flashed past them and their voices stopped abruptly. In the blink of an eye, 20 of the 32 great supreme god cultivators of the heavenly human clan had been killed by Lu Ming. Chapter 4290. The heavenly human tribe elites were no match for Lu Ming. 20 of them were killed in an instant. At this moment, the surrounding people of the other races were trembling all over. Their bodies were emitting cold air, and their eyes were filled with fear. Among them, there were over 30 emperor gods. Since the 32 heavenly human tribe elites were fighting Lu Ming, the other emperor gods could not intervene. They watched the battle from afar, ready to intervene if there were any unforeseen circumstances. But now, no one dared to intervene. Lu Ming's combat power was too terrifying. Those geniuses of the heavenly human clan were usually high and mighty in front of them. However, at this moment, they were as weak as chickens in front of Lu Ming. How would they dare to intervene? They would be courting death if they did. Not only did some of them not dare to intervene, but they even retreated. Damn it, how could this be? At that moment, Yechu Fengcheng, Yechu Yu, and the others were shivering in fear. They did not dare to confront Lu Ming head-on. Instead, they retreated frantically. The formation had been broken. They were no match for Lu Ming. Why are you running away? Didn't you want to kill me? I'm right here. Come and kill me, Lu Ming said coldly. At the same time, he used the Grand Aurora skill and turned into an aurora, rushing toward Yechu Fengcheng, Yechu Yu, and the others. Swoosh. It was too fast. In a flash, Lu Ming was right in front of Yechu Yu. Ah! Yechu Yu screamed in fear and retreated frantically like a frightened chicken. Yechu, I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming said coldly. A spear radiance shot out from his palm and pierced toward Yechu Yu. Because of the conflict in the great ancient world, Yechu Yu had been targeting him in the heavenly palace, always wanting to kill him. Lu Ming would remember this grudge. He had been looking for a chance to kill Yechu Yu. Now that he had the chance, how could Lu Ming miss it? Yi Yu screamed in horror and frantically retreated, trying to avoid Lu Ming's attack. However, his cultivation was at the same level as Lu Ming. How could he avoid Lu Ming's attack? Lu Ming's speed was even faster. As soon as he retreated, Lu Ming followed, and the distance between the two could not be widened. In the end, Yi Yu had no choice but to risk his life and circulate the power of heavenly punishment to the limit. However, in a battle of the same level, coupled with the fact that his heavenly punishment wasn't that strong, he couldn't block Lu Ming's attack at all. With a bang, Yi Yu's attack was pierced through by Lu Ming. His attack didn't stop there. It pierced through Yi Yu's forehead, and at the same time, his soul was annihilated by Lu Ming. Yi Yu, dead. Go, I can't not die, I definitely can't die, I will become the son of heaven. Taking advantage of the moment when Lu Ming killed Yi Yu, Yechu Fengcheng frantically retreated while screaming in his heart. He didn't want to die, he wanted to escape. He was destined to become a great figure in the heavenly palace. He pushed his speed to the limit, and in a few flashes, he was 10,000 miles away. Then, he circulated all his strength and turned his body into a sword. He unleashed his aura to the extreme, and his whole person was like a battle sword, rushing into the void. He wanted to break through the void and rush into the second-level world. In the first-level world, as long as one's cultivation reached the Divine Emperor realm and unleashed his aura, he would be able to break through the void and rush into the second-level world. Of course, this wasn't them using their real strength to break through the void. The space of the Taishang Immortal City was extremely stable. With their strength, they couldn't break through the void. It was just that when their cultivation reached the Divine Emperor realm, they would break the rules set by the Taishang Immortal City and send them into the second-level world. Yechu Fengcheng knew that with his speed, he wouldn't be able to escape from Lu Ming. Now, there was only one way in front of him, and that was to rush into the second-level world to escape from Lu Ming's pursuit. You want to rush into the second-level world? You can't do it in front of me. How could Lu Ming not know what Yechu Fengcheng was thinking? Immediately, Lu Ming used the greater teleportation technique. In a flash, He appeared above Yi Chu Fengcheng's head. Ah! Yi Chu Fengcheng screamed in fright and tried to stop himself. However, he had rushed too fiercely just now, and it was difficult for him to stop now. Although he tried his best, he could only slow down for a short period of time. His body was still rushing toward Lu Ming. No, no! Yi Chu Fengcheng screamed crazily, his face twisted with fear. Anxious, he was going crazy. No! I want it! Lu Ming smiled faintly and looked down at Yi Chu Fengcheng from above. Then, his body fell like a meteorite, and his foot smashed toward Yi Chu Fengcheng's face. Every part of Lu Ming's body was a weapon, and the power of his foot was no weaker than that of his hand. I'll fight it out with you. Seeing that he couldn't escape, Yi Chu roared crazily and used all his strength to fight Lu Ming. The two figures met in the air like two shooting stars. Boom! With a loud boom, rings of energy spread out in all directions. Yi Chu Fengcheng's combat sword, which was condensed from the power of heavenly punishment, exploded with a bang. Lu Ming's figure did not stop. He continued to bombard Yi Chu Fengcheng, and the sole of his foot accurately stepped on his face. In an instant, Yi Chu Fengcheng's handsome face was completely distorted and caved in. Crackling sounds could be heard from his entire body. That was because Lu Ming was too powerful. The power surged from his face to his entire body. Under such terrifying power, all the bones in his body turned into fine powder in an instant. Yi Fengcheng's body plummeted down at an even faster speed than before. Boom! Yi Chu Fengcheng's body smashed into the body tree stump, and he was smashed into meat paste. The body tree stump was completely unscathed. It was too hard. Yi Chu Fengcheng's body was destroyed, but his soul wasn't. He flew out in a panic, trying to escape. Mu Yun, don't kill me. As long as you let me go, I'll definitely plead with the Lord Heaven and even the Lord Celestial Venerables when I return. I'll beg them to let you go. Yi Chu Fengcheng's soul screamed as he fled. What a joke! Lu Ming's indifferent voice sounded. His body turned into an aurora and rushed toward Yi Chu Fengcheng's soul. With a puff, Yi Chu Fengcheng's soul turned into green smoke and dissipated. Yi Chu Fengcheng, a peerless genius who could fight across 7 levels in the Divine Emperor realm, had fallen. At this time, there were still 10 Divine Emperors of the heavenly human tribe who were still alive, and they were frantically fleeing. Some of them fled into the distance, while others imitated Yi Chu Fengcheng. They unleashed all their auras and soared into the sky, wanting to rush into the 2nd level. Don't even think about leaving, Lu Ming shouted. His eyes were full of murderous intent. He was in a killing frenzy. These days, the heavenly human tribe had repeatedly tried to kill him. Whether it was the Lord Celestial Venerables, the Lord Heaven, or the younger generation, they all wanted to deal with him. He was already filled with murderous intent toward the heavenly human tribe. Chapter 4291. He wouldn't let any of the heavenly humans off. After Lu Ming killed Yi Chu Fengcheng, he did not stop moving. He cast the transference skill and appeared in front of a heavenly human clan prodigy who wanted to rush to the 2nd level. His palm was like a knife. With one slash, he killed that person. Then, he charged toward another one. These heavenly human prodigies were as weak as chickens in front of Lu Ming. None of them could withstand Lu Ming's moves. Let's go, let's go. Mu Yun is too crazy. He's a demon. After killing the heavenly human prodigies, he'll definitely come for us. We have to leave. The prodigies of the other races felt chills down their spines. They didn't dare to stay any longer. They flew in all directions and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After flying far away, those who had broken through to the God the Archrealm still felt uneasy. Many of them started to release their auras and rushed to the 2nd level. Mu Yun's battle prowess is too terrifying. He's already so powerful after just breaking through to the God the Archrealm. If he continues to break through, even young Master Gabbert won't be his match. I have to inform young Master Gabbert as soon as possible and ambush him around the void-shattering platform. We have to kill him before his cultivation becomes too strong. Otherwise, the consequences will be dire, a burly angel muttered, his eyes filled with fear. When he thought of Lu Ming killing the heavenly human prodigies as if they were chickens, he couldn't help but shiver. He had to inform Gabbett about this. Immediately, he released his aura to the maximum. 8 angelic wings extended from his back. His body was shrouded in pure divine power as he soared into the sky. He kept rushing upwards, and when he reached a certain height, the void automatically split open. He rushed into the split space and disappeared. He broke through the void and rushed to the second level. As long as one reached the God the Archrealm, regardless of their battle prowess, they could rush to the second level. At the body tree stump, Lu Ming continued to kill. None of the remaining 10 god theurches of the heavenly human tribe managed to escape. They all died at the hands of Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's aura didn't weaken. Instead, it became even more berserk. I need to find a place to stabilize my cultivation. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then randomly chose a direction and flew in that direction. After flying for some distance, Lu Ming found a secluded place, sat down cross-legged, and began to cultivate. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. 3 days later, Lu Ming's cultivation had completely stabilized at the God Emperor realm. His foundation was stable and there were no problems. Just as Lu Ming stabilized his realm, some of the cells in his body suddenly rushed out of vast and majestic energy. This energy was extremely pure and could quickly turn into taboo energy. This is the energy contained in the secret technique runes finally going to erupt? Lu Ming whispered, a look of joy appearing on his face. Back in the Archean world, Lu Ming had killed a large number of Archean secret skills and absorbed a large number of secret skill runes. Among those secret skills, the weakest one had the strength of the first great supreme god layer. The strongest one had the strength of the 5th great supreme god layer. In total, there were more than 800 secret skill runes. Back in the Archean world, Lu Ming had absorbed more than 100 of them. Even though the others had fused with his cells, because Lu Ming had encountered a bottleneck, they hadn't been able to release their energy. Now, Lu Ming had finally broken through the bottleneck and broken through to the great supreme god layer. The energy of the secret skill runes had finally surged out. Lu Ming didn't dare be negligent. He absorbed the energy of the secret skill runes and started to cultivate. After absorbing the energy of the secret skill runes, his cultivation level rose rapidly. Lu Ming's cultivation level rose at an astonishing speed. In just a few hours, Lu Ming's cultivation level had reached the peak of the first great supreme god layer. He was about to break through to the second great supreme god layer. After a few hours, with an explosion, Lu Ming's chi exploded. He had successfully broken through to the second great supreme god layer. However, after breaking through to the second great supreme god layer, the energy of the secret skill runes had been used up. Even though there were hundreds of secret skill runes, each one only contained a thread of energy. Besides, the cultivation level of those secret skills wasn't high. Breaking through to the first or second great supreme god layer wasn't enough for Lu Ming. Therefore, even though there were many of them, they had only helped Lu Ming break through to the first great supreme god layer. After all, he was a great supreme god and had a forbidden body. Breaking through to the next great supreme god layer required a lot of energy. Each time he broke through to the next great supreme god layer, he needed 100 times more energy than ordinary people. Otherwise, the forbidden strength wouldn't be so powerful. Every strand of taboo power required more energy to condense. Lu Ming was already very satisfied that he could break through to the next great supreme god layer. I wonder how strong I am now, thought Lin Yun. Lu Ming could feel the vast and surging power in his body. He was somewhat agitated. The strength of the second great supreme god layer was much stronger than the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. Lu Ming felt that if he were in the primitive universe, he could destroy the heavens and the earth. He could destroy a star with a single punch. In the primitive universe, great supreme gods were considered strong cultivators. In the primitive universe, great supreme gods were considered strong cultivators. Godlords could be regarded as peak experts, while reciprocity was an existence that could suppress the fortune of a great organization. They were the overlords of the universe, truly supreme existences. Lu Ming was now one of the strongest cultivators in the primitive universe. He was the strongest cultivator of the younger generation in the primitive universe. According to Lu Ming's knowledge, in the primitive universe, including the Heavenly Palace, no one had reached the Great Supreme God layer. The strongest cultivator had reached the Great Supreme God layer. As for the strongest cultivators of the younger generation, Lin Yun didn't know how many layers of the Great Supreme God layer they had reached. After all, breaking through to the Great Supreme God layer was extremely difficult. Now, let's go to the second layer. That's the layer that will help me the most. Lu Ming left his seclusion and looked up at the sky. The first layer was just a transition for Lu Ming. The most useful thing for him was the body tree stump. The cultivation environment of the second layer was most suitable for the Great Supreme God layer. Only there could he advance by leaps and bounds. This time, Lu Ming had to seize the opportunity to improve himself as much as possible. He had to cross the threshold of the Great Supreme God layer and reach the Great Supreme God layer as soon as possible. Only in the Great Supreme God layer could he learn about some of the secrets of the universe. Otherwise, he wouldn't be qualified. Whoosh! Lu Ming soared into the sky and released his aura. He was like a stream of light, rushing into the depths of the sky. When Lu Ming reached a certain height, the void split open and Lu Ming rushed in. As soon as he rushed in, Lu Ming felt a strong force pulling him toward a certain place. This force was irresistible and irresistible. Lu Ming could only follow this force and fly forward. The next moment, there was a flash of light and Lu Ming appeared in a new world. Chapter 4292. Lu Ming found that he had come to a new world. Lu Ming raised his eyes and looked around. He found that he was now standing on a piece of bluestone. The bluestone was round and very flat, about 3 meters in length and width. Lu Ming looked around and found a large number of these bluestones around him. He found that he was actually in a vast lake. These bluestones were all in the lake. In the lake, there were a large number of these bluestones, densely packed. At a glance, there were at least a few thousand of these bluestones. Lu Ming stood on one of the bluestones. "This is the broken void pool," Lu Ming whispered. From the information given by Fei Huang, Lu Ming knew that this was the broken void pool. From the first layer to the second layer, one would not randomly appear somewhere in the second layer, but in a fixed place. Just like the broken void pool. In the entire second layer, there were a total of 4 broken void pools. They corresponded to the 4 different areas of the first layer. In a certain area of the first layer, one would appear in the corresponding broken void pool when one reached the second layer. My broken void pool should be the one in the east. It's at the eastern edge. I should head west to obtain more resources. Lu Ming identified the direction, then soared into the sky and flew towards the west. Soon, Lu Ming left the broken void pool and came to a mountain peak beside the broken void pool. This power, is it the legendary Great Desolation Chi? Lu Ming felt the energy floating between heaven and earth, and his eyes revealed surprise and curiosity. The energy contained in the second layer of the highest supreme immortal city was completely different from the Great Desolate Universe. No one knew what the energy here was. Those who came in from the Great Desolate Universe called it Great Desolation Chi, which meant that it was the Great Desolate Continent of the previous era. This kind of energy was of a higher level than the divine chi of the Great Desolate Universe, and it was infinitely mysterious. However, the creatures of the Great Desolate Universe could not directly absorb this kind of energy. They had to use special means. The so-called special means was to rely on the unique pill furnace of the second layer of the highest supreme immortal city. According to the information given by Fei Huang, there would be a pill furnace in many ancient ruins of the second layer. As long as this pill furnace was activated, it would continuously absorb the Great Desolation Chi between heaven and earth, and then refine the Great Desolation Pill. They could directly absorb and refine this kind of Great Desolation Pill. And the magical thing was that no matter what kind of power they cultivated, they could absorb and refine it. For example, the heavenly human race, the Great Desolate Universe, the creatures of the Great Desolate Universe, could all be refined and transformed into their own power, helping them to quickly increase their cultivation and refine their divine body. It could be said that this was a supreme pill. Fei Huang said that there was a supreme fortune in the supreme immortal city. Those who entered could quickly increase their cultivation and widen the gap between them and the others. For celestial emperors, the greatest fortune was the Great Desolate Pill. However, the Grand Supreme Immortal City had its own rules. The pill furnace used to refine the Great Desolate Pill could not be brought out. For example, the last time Fei Huang and the others entered the Supreme Immortal City, when they left, they wanted to bring the pill furnace out, but they couldn't. When they were about to leave, the pill furnaces automatically left their bodies and flew away. If they could bring them out, the Heavenly Palace would bring out a large number of pill furnaces and pass them down to the geniuses who entered this time. Once they entered, they could use the pill furnaces to refine the Great Desolation Pill and increase their cultivation. But in reality, they could not. Everyone who entered had to find a pill furnace to refine the Great Desolation Pill. My main goal now is to find a pill furnace and refine the Great Desolation Pill. Only then can I quickly increase my cultivation. I entered the second layer a few years later than the others. Lu Ming whispered. The other great desolate god experts entered the second layer as soon as they entered, much earlier than Lu Ming. Among these people, some of them had probably already obtained a pill furnace to refine the Great Desolation Pill to increase their cultivation. If he did not increase his speed, he might not be able to keep up with the others. However, if he wanted to obtain a pill furnace, he had to go to some ruins or buildings. Naturally, it was impossible to obtain a pill furnace in the wilderness. Lu Ming sorted out his next plan and continued to fly towards the west. However, after flying for a short while, Lu Ming suddenly felt a sense of crisis. Whoosh! The next moment, from below Lu Ming, a pure white sword gleam soared into the sky and pierced toward Lu Ming. Its speed was extremely shocking. Lu Ming instinctively wanted to retreat, but at this moment, there were sword lights behind Lu Ming, in front of Lu Ming, to his left and right. They were all extremely fast. Only above Lu Ming, there were no sword lights. Whoosh! Lu Ming shot up into the sky and continued to rush upwards. However, just as Lu Ming rushed upwards, a sword light slashed down from above Lu Ming's head. The power of this sword light was even more terrifying than the sword light from the other directions. That was a real killing move. The attacks from the other directions were obviously meant to force Lu Ming to dash upward. Then, the attacks from above would launch a shortkill attack. There were attacks from all directions and they were extremely powerful. They were seriously disrupting the space. Lu Ming wanted to use the greater teleportation technique, but he couldn't. In such a situation, he could only face them head-on. Sky-breaking technique. Lu Ming bellowed in his heart. He cast his self-created secret skill, heaven-splitting style. His body emitted dazzling lights and turned into a long spear, shooting upwards. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. The spear light and the sword chi swept away in all directions like a hurricane. In a flash, Lu Ming sensed an extremely sharp sword chi above him. It broke through his attack and defense and bombarded his body. How strong! The person above him was extremely strong. Even though Lu Ming had the strength of the second great supreme god layer, he wasn't a match for him. The sword chi fell on Lu Ming's body and cut open Lu Ming's body. There were many sword wounds on Lu Ming's body. Blood flowed out. The violent power pressed down on Lu Ming and made him fall down. The sword light below him didn't stop, it continued to attack Lu Ming. Block! Shouted Lu Ming. The moment he fell down, he threw a punch with all his strength. A fist force collided with the sword light below, causing another explosion to ring out. However, the sword light below him was much weaker than the sword light above him. It was destroyed by Lu Ming's punch. Great Aurora technique. After destroying the sword light below him, Lu Ming immediately used the Great Aurora technique. His body turned into an aurora and shot downwards, landing on the ground. Boom! As soon as he landed on the ground, Lu Ming stomped on the ground, creating a huge crater. Lu Ming's body shot out like an arrow. He rushed out 10,000 li before he felt the danger disappear. Lu Ming turned around and looked behind him. Swoosh! 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 His silhouette flickered and many silhouettes appeared. Chapter 4293. A dozen silhouettes appeared behind Lu Ming. These dozen figures were all enveloped in pure white holy light. Pairs of pure white wings spread out. The Angel Clan, all of them were from the Angel Clan. A young angel standing in the middle caught Lu Ming's attention right away. "Gabbert," murmured Lu Ming. He narrowed his eyes, revealing a cold murderous intent. Indeed, the young angel in the middle was a peerless genius of the Angel Clan. He was on the universe's young geniuses list, Gabbert. Back then, in the palace of the Elf Clan, the Angel Clan had brought Gabbert's clone. In the end, Gabbert's clone had been defeated by Lu Ming. Therefore, Lu Ming had seen Gabbert before. Of course, he recognized him at first glance. The one who had launched a fierce attack on Lu Ming from the sky earlier was Gabbert. Of the other dozen people, a few were young, while the others seemed to be in their 30s. Those people were extremely strong. Lu Ming could clearly sense that the weakest one was of the third great supreme god layer. As for Gabbert, he was of the fifth great supreme god layer. It's said that Gabbert only has the strength of the fourth great supreme god layer. It seems like he has broken through while he was in the most supreme immortal city. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. Second great supreme god layer? You just broke through to the first great supreme god layer. How did you break through to the second? As expected, I can't let you live, said Gabbert coldly, staring at Lu Ming. His eyes were twinkling with cold light. He had received reports from the Angel Clan from the first layer that Lu Ming had broken through to the great supreme god layer. He had killed many strong cultivators of the heavenly human clan. His fighting strength was astonishing. This made Gabe feel a sense of urgency. He knew that since Lu Ming had broken through the void, he must have appeared in the Poksu pool. Therefore, he immediately brought a group of experts from the angel race here to ambush Lu Ming, intending to launch a shorekill attack. Originally, with their strength, Lu Ming had just broken through to the great supreme god layer. It would have been difficult for him to escape death. However, they hadn't thought that Lu Ming would break through to the second great supreme god layer. His fighting strength had increased greatly. He had managed to escape from their ambush. Gabbert couldn't believe it. At the same time, his murderous intent towards Lu Ming had reached a level he had never felt before. Lu Ming's improvement was too terrifying. At this rate, he would catch up with him in no time. Given the feud between the two of them, he would be the one to die. He had to get rid of Lu Ming before he surpassed him. Gabbert, you're on the universe's young geniuses list. How dare you team up with so many people to ambush me? How shameless and ridiculous, said Lu Ming mockingly. At the same time, forbidden energy circulated around him. His injuries were quickly healed. Don't talk nonsense with him. Let's attack together and kill him, shouted Gabbert coldly. The 12 angel wings on his back flapped rapidly. His body turned into a beam of white light as he charged towards Lu Ming. He slashed with his sword. A sharp sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. The terrifying power made Lu Ming's hair stand on end. Battle character secret art, sky-breaking technique, roared Lu Ming. The battle character secret art successfully triggered the highest combat power of 7 times. Then, he unleashed the sky-breaking technique. He transformed into a beam of light and rushed towards Gabbert's angelic sword. Lu Ming hadn't been able to unleash his full combat power due to his opponent's sneak attack. Now, he pushed his combat power to its peak. He wanted to test Gabbert's combat power. Gabbert's combat power was at the bottom of the universe's young geniuses list. It could be said that he was at the bottom of the universe's young geniuses list. Now that he knew Gabbert's combat power, he knew how high the threshold of the universe's young geniuses list was. Boom! When the two attacks collided, an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Violent energy swept out in all directions like a violent storm. Lu Ming's body shook violently. He couldn't help but retreat. He felt sore all over. Many of his bones were broken. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Lu Ming was no match for Jian Wushuang at all. He was severely injured in one move. So strong. The combat power of the geniuses on the universe's young geniuses list can't be measured by the godly emperor realm or the candidates of the universe's young geniuses list. Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. His gaze was grave. Gabbat's combat power had completely surpassed his. Gabbat's cultivation level was the 5th level of the Great Supreme God Realm, which was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming's. Even if he was an ordinary Great Supreme God and measured by the godly Emperor Realm, there was still a difference of 9 levels. Besides, Gabbat was a peerless genius. When he was a godly Emperor Realm, he was already a candidate of the universe's young geniuses list. He could fight across 4 levels. In total, there were 13 levels. Even if Lu Ming had broken the limit, he couldn't fight across 13 levels. In fact, the Great Supreme God Gabbat's combat power was far stronger than the candidates of the universe's young geniuses list. In fact, the combat power of the Great Supreme God Realm was very complicated. It couldn't be measured by the godly Emperor Realm. The gap was too big. In the godly Emperor Realm, one was just an ordinary godly emperor. If one couldn't fight across levels, then one would be an ordinary godly emperor after breaking through to the Great Supreme God Realm. In the godly Emperor Realm, one could fight across 1 level, 2 levels, or 3 levels. After breaking through to the Great Supreme God Realm, one's combat power would be different. In addition, after breaking through to the Great Supreme God Realm, one's cultivation progress, various origin secret techniques, constitution secret techniques, and origin divine power factor would be different. This would also cause a big change in combat power. For example, 2 candidates of the universe's young geniuses list could fight across 4 levels in the godly Emperor Realm. After breaking through to the Great Supreme God Realm, it didn't mean that they could maintain the same combat power. It also didn't mean that their combat power would be the same. It still needed to be measured based on their cultivation in the Great Supreme God Realm. If one of them was reduced to mediocrity after breaking through to the God Emperor Realm, there wouldn't be much improvement in all aspects. On the other hand, there would be a huge improvement in all aspects such as the source secret techniques, physique secret techniques, and source Godforce factor. That person would be much stronger than the other person. In addition, in the Great Supreme God Realm, there was no limit to fighting across 9 levels. The calculation of combat power was even more complicated. Hence, the Heavenly Palace and various races in the universe used the godly Emperor Realm as a basis to design a star-level combat power calculation method for the Great Supreme God Realm. 1 star level was the difference of 1 level in the godly Emperor Realm. For example, in the godly Emperor Realm, to fight across 1 level was 1 star level combat power. To fight across 2 star levels was 2 star level combat power. In the Great Supreme God Realm, under normal circumstances, a 1st level Great Supreme God Realm's combat power was equivalent to 3 levels of the godly Emperor Realm. In other words, there was a difference of 3 stars in terms of combat strength. In the Great Supreme God Realm, to fight across levels was 3 star level combat power. In the Great Supreme God Realm, to fight across 2 levels was 6 star level combat power. Chapter 4294. In the God Emperor Realm, to be able to fight across 3 levels was a 9-star battle power. Lu Ming estimated that if he unleashed his full power now, he should be able to reach 12-star battle power. In the God Emperor Realm, Lu Ming's battle power had reached the limit. He could fight across 9 levels, which was a 9-star battle power. After Lu Ming broke through to the God Emperor Realm, he broke the limit. With the battle word technique and the newly comprehended sky-breaking style, he could reach 12-star battle power. 12-star battle power in the God Emperor Realm was enough to fight across 4 levels. Of course, their opponents were the most ordinary beings with sporadic battle power. If the opponent also had a star-level battle power, then it would be impossible. And Gabbat's battle power was definitely more than 4-star. Lu Ming estimated that it was at least 6-star. Theoretically, when Gabbat was in the God Emperor Realm, he could only fight across 4 levels. However, after he broke through to the God Emperor Realm, he had a huge breakthrough in all aspects. Origin godly power factor, constitution secret technique, origin secret technique, all of these aspects improved rapidly. They exceeded his previous limit and reached 6-star battle power. That was why Gabbert was able to enter the Universe Genius list. Not everyone could improve like Gabbert after they broke through to the God Emperor realm. In fact, most people either stayed in the same place or regressed after they broke through to the God Emperor realm. When they were in the God Emperor realm, there were many candidates for the Universe Genius list, and they could all fight across 4 levels. However, most of the candidates couldn't keep up in all aspects after they broke through to the God Emperor realm. They would become mediocre and wouldn't be able to maintain 4-star battle power. They would fall back to 3-star or even 2-star. Some prodigies would advance by leaps and bounds, from 4-star to 5-star, 6-star, or even higher. Only such people could make it to the Universe Prodigy list or even make it to the Universe Prodigy list. In fact, those candidates only had the potential to make it to the Universe Genius list. However, most of them couldn't make it to the Universe Genius list. Those who could make it to the next level were the minority. That was why Gabbert had a very high status in the angel race. He wasn't someone ordinary Universe Genius list candidates could compare to. Gabbert himself had a battle prowess of 6 stars, and there was a difference of 9 stars between him and Lu Ming. Therefore, there was a difference of 15 stars between Gabbert and Lu Ming. On the other hand, Lu Ming only possessed 12 stars of battle prowess, so he was naturally not a match for Gabbert. In one move, Lu Ming suffered heavy injuries. At the same time, the other angels also rushed towards Lu Ming. The weakest of those angels had the strength of the 3rd Great Supreme God layer. Most of them had the strength of the 4th Great Supreme God layer. They weren't ordinary Great Supreme Gods, they all had the strength of a star. Some had 3-star battle prowess, and some even had 4-star battle prowess. These people's strength couldn't be underestimated. Lu Ming didn't dare to be careless. Using the Great Aurora art, he transformed into an aurora and shot back. In an instant, he was thousands of miles away, dodging the attacks of the angels. "You can't escape. Die!" shouted Gabbert. Turning into a sword light, he charged towards Lu Ming again. The previous exchange had made him realize how terrifying Lu Ming was. There was a difference of 3 levels between them, but Lu Ming had managed to block him without dying. Lu Ming's battle prowess was too terrifying. Generally speaking, those who had just broken through to the Great Supreme God layer would find it difficult to increase their battle prowess without a period of time of consolidation. In fact, it wasn't easy for them to maintain their battle prowess. Most people would retreat. That was because the higher one's cultivation was, the easier it was to comprehend original divine power and original secret techniques. The speed at which a great supreme god could comprehend original secret techniques was many times faster than a great supreme god. After breaking through to the great supreme god layer, with the great supreme god layer as the foundation, one would advance by leaps and bounds in all aspects after cultivating for a period of time. For those who had been in the great supreme god layer for a period of time, even if their talent wasn't enough, but after cultivating for a long time, their original secret techniques would improve by quite a bit. As for those who had just broken through to the great supreme god layer, they didn't have time to consolidate their original secret techniques. Hence, their star battle prowess would be weakened. Only after a period of consolidation and cultivation would they be able to rush back up again. However, Lu Ming had just broken through to the great supreme god layer. Not only did his star battle prowess not weaken, but it had also increased, reaching a battle prowess of more than 10 stars. This could no longer be described as terrifying. Gabbert's heart was filled with deep fear. He had to kill Lu Ming. He had to kill Lu Ming. Gabbert roared in his heart. Pushing his battle prowess to the extreme, he charged towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming had already tested Gabbert's battle prowess. How could he continue to fight with him? Greater teleportation technique. Before Gabbert arrived, Lu Ming executed the greater teleportation technique and teleported to the back, causing Gabbert's attack to miss. "Stay here, Mu Yun." Gabbert roared and continued to attack Lu Ming. "Gabbert, wash your neck and wait for me. It won't be long before I come and take your dog life." Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. Then, he continued to execute the greater teleportation technique and teleported to the back. When the greater teleportation technique wasn't restricted, Its speed was very shocking. Even if Gabbert's cultivation was 3 levels higher, he still couldn't catch up with Lu Ming. He could only watch as Lu Ming kept moving further and further away. Soon, he completely disappeared from his senses. Damn it, damn it. Gabbert roared again and again, his face full of malevolence. Lu Ming was such a great enemy, but he actually let him escape. This was simply endless trouble. Young Master Gabbert, what should we do now? Another angel race Skypride flew over and asked. Spread the news. Tell the others in our race to inform us if they see Mu Yun. Also, spread the news that Mu Yun has come to the 2nd level world. Let others go and kill Mu Yun. The entire Heavenly Palace wants to kill Mu Yun. Let's see how he'll die. Gabbert said malevolently. As long as they killed Mu Yun, they would be crowned as the son or daughter of heaven. Countless people in the Heavenly Palace would go crazy. As long as they saw Lu Ming, they would kill Lu Ming. He didn't believe that Lu Ming could survive. Mu Yun definitely won't be able to leave the Taishang Immortal City alive. I don't have to worry too much, Gabbert comforted himself. Because only then would the fear in his heart lessen. Lu Ming kept using the greater teleportation technique. After dozens of teleportations, he completely left the range of Gabbert and the others' senses. Then, he stopped teleporting and flew forward. In the process of flying, the injuries he suffered quickly recovered. It didn't take long for him to fully recover. It seems like the threshold of the Universe Prodigy list is battle power like Gabbert's. I just need to break through one more level and I'll be able to challenge the Universe Prodigy list. Also, when I reach the God Emperor level, there are no restrictions on my battle power. I can integrate more secret techniques to improve the quality of my forbidden power. My star-level battle power will become stronger. Lu Ming thought as he flew. Chapter 4295. Of course, now was not the time to comprehend all kinds of secret techniques. Now was the time to look for a cauldron to refine the desolate pill and improve his cultivation. It would not be too late to comprehend the secret techniques later. Lu Ming kept flying away from the area. Then, he spread out his spiritual consciousness and began to search. If he wanted to get a cauldron, he had to find the elixir field first. According to the speculations of Fei Huang and the others, the 2nd level of the Taishang Immortal City was very likely a prosperous place for refining pills in the previous era. There were many pill fields here, and only in the pill fields could there be pill furnaces that could refine desolate pills. However, the elixir fields were usually hidden and difficult to find. Lu Ming flew and spread out his spiritual consciousness to search. However, after 2 days, he still could not find it. At this moment, 2 figures flew past Lu Ming's side. However, after flying for a distance, they hurriedly stopped. They were 2 young men from the Heavenly Palace. They were the disciples of the big shots in the Heavenly Palace. That figure was familiar. It seemed to be Mu Yun. One of them said, "That's Mu Yun." That's right. It seems like he has come to the 2nd level. Haha, our luck is here. The other young man was ecstatic. Let's go. Don't let him get away. The 2 young men increased their speed to the maximum and flew toward Lu Ming in a frenzy. In the blink of an eye, they were close to Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not retreat. He stood there calmly. The 2 young men were only at the 3rd layer of the Emperor God realm. Why should he retreat? Whoosh, whoosh. The 2 young men surrounded Lu Ming, one in front and one behind. Kill, kill. 2 loud shouts were heard as the 2 young men attacked without any hesitation. They were afraid that Lu Ming would be killed by them. Then, the credit would go to them. They wanted to take the credit for killing Lu Ming. The 2 attacks were shockingly powerful. They came one after the other. Lu Ming had nowhere to hide. However, Lu Ming did not plan to avoid them. Lu Ming moved and 2 beams of light shot out from his body, blasting toward the 2 people in front and behind him. Boom, boom. After 2 explosions, the attacks of the 2 youths were directly defeated. Then, they were sent flying back, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. 5-star combat power, no wonder he is the disciple of a big shot in the Heavenly Palace. Lu Ming muttered. The battle prowess of these two youths was very strong, reaching 5-star battle prowess. It didn't mean that their talents were comparable to the fighting god Yuan Wen. They were definitely inferior. When they were in the Divine Emperor realm, it would be difficult for them to cross 5 levels to fight. Most likely, after breaking through to the Divine Emperor realm, with the help of the resources of the Heavenly Palace and the guidance of the great figures in the Heavenly Palace, they could have such battle strength. 5 stars and the strength of the third great supreme god layer added up to 8 stars. Lu Ming's fighting strength was 12 stars. Of course, they couldn't compete with him. Just now, Lu Ming hadn't used his full strength, and hadn't reached the peak of 12-star battle prowess. Otherwise, the two of them wouldn't have been injured, but would have been killed directly. Lu Ming was a little surprised, but the two young men were frightened. How can he be so strong? How did he break through to the second great supreme god layer? How could he be so fast? He only had the strength of the first great supreme god layer before, shouted the two young men from the Heavenly Palace. They couldn't believe their eyes. At first, they thought that Lu Ming had just broken through to the first great supreme god layer because he had just arrived on the second floor. Normally, after breaking through to the great supreme god layer, the battle prowess of a cultivator's star would decrease. They were all at the third Emperor God realm and had 5-star fighting strength. It was more than enough to kill Lu Ming. But Lu Ming's fighting strength was beyond their expectations. If you want to kill me, you should be prepared to be killed. I'll send you to hell, said Lu Ming coldly. He waved his hand and 2 spear lights appeared, moving towards the two young men. You want to kill us? Don't even think about it, shouted the two young men furiously. At the same time, a weapon appeared in their hands. The young man in the front had a saber in his hand. The young man in the back had an axe in his hand. The two of them brandished their weapons, creating a whistling sound as they slashed at the spear light. Boom! Boom! After 2 booming sounds, the 2 spear lights were actually blocked. The two young men were pushed back. Their faces were pale, but they weren't injured. Hey! Those are weapons from the Taishang Immortal City. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Weapons from the outside of the primitive universe couldn't be used here, but the weapons from the Taishang Immortal City could be used. Lu Ming had read from the information Fei Huang had given him that there were some weapons in the Taishang Immortal City. Those weapons belonged to the Taishang Immortal City. They were weapons from the previous era. Those weapons were completely different from the weapons in the primitive universe. Those weapons contained inscriptions and rules, which were completely different from those in the primitive universe. Now that the people of this era obtained it, they couldn't activate the power inside at all. However, the material of those weapons was extraordinary. They were immortal and extremely sharp. Just the material alone could unleash great power. The weapons in the hands of the two young men from the Heavenly Palace were weapons from the Taishang Immortal City. They were extremely sharp and blocked Lu Ming's attack. Not bad. I'll take these 2 weapons. Lu Ming smiled. His aura became stronger. He had activated the battle character art to increase his combat strength by 7 times. Now that the battle character art had increased his combat strength by 7 times, Lu Ming's chances of activating it had reached about 1/5. It was very high. After activating the battle character art, Lu Ming's combat strength had reached about 11 stars. Boom! Lu Ming's body was shrouded in a dazzling glow. He waved his fists continuously and the violent fist force blasted toward the two young men. Ah, your combat strength, how is that possible? Ah! The two young men screamed. They were extremely shocked and frantically waved their weapons to block the attack. However, Lu Ming had already unleashed 11 stars of combat strength. How could they block it? The fist force crushed through, and the two youths exploded. Their bodies and souls were destroyed, and not even their bones were left. Only 2 weapons were left floating in the air. Lu Ming waved his hand and grabbed the 2 weapons. Whoosh! Lu Ming waved the battle saber in his hand and slashed through the void, bringing about a terrifying whistling sound. How sharp! Although I can't activate the true power of these weapons, Just the material and sharpness of these weapons can increase my combat strength by a lot. Lu Ming broke into a smile. In the Taishang Immortal City, besides looking for pill furnaces to refine primitive pills, many people would also look for weapons here. This was because these weapons could greatly increase one's combat strength. However, these weapons could only be used in the Taishang Immortal City and could not be taken out. Just like pill furnaces, when they left, these pill furnaces would automatically fly away. Lu Ming put away the two weapons and continued flying forward. However, this time, Lu Ming did not fly far before he stopped. He had discovered something. Chapter 4296. Lu Ming saw a group of purple mosquitoes. Each of these mosquitoes was the size of a quail egg. They were purple and sparkling. They flew through the void and made buzzing sounds. There were at least a few hundred of them in a group. Purple pill mosquitoes. These are purple pill mosquitoes. Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised. Most of the territories in the Grand Supreme Immortal City had no living creatures. According to Fei Huang's records, there were only a few types of living creatures on the second level of the Grand Supreme Immortal City. The purple pill mosquitoes were one of them. The purple pill mosquitoes were not aggressive, but they had one advantage, which was to find elixir fields. As long as there were purple pill mosquitoes, there would most likely be elixir fields in the vicinity. This was because the purple pill mosquitoes would absorb the elixir chi in the elixir fields to promote their own evolution. Therefore, Lu Ming was delighted when he saw the purple pill mosquitoes. It was very likely that elixir fields would appear in this area, and there might be elixir furnaces in the elixir fields. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A purple pill mosquito flapped its wings and flew toward the north. Lu Ming restrained his aura and followed behind the purple pill mosquito from afar. Hundreds of thousands of miles north of Lu Ming, there was a piece of land that was filled with crimson light. The crimson light was like water that seeped out of the ground and filled the void. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Large groups of purple pill mosquitoes were flying in the sky above this area, absorbing the crimson light. There were a few groups of people in the air around this area. These people were from a few powerful races in the universe. Among them, there were more than a dozen people from the World Annihilation race, which was ranked 11th on the primitive 10,000 races list. There were also more than a dozen people from the Azura race, which was ranked 12th on the primitive 10,000 races list. These two races were close to the top 10 races and were very powerful. These two races occupied two different directions. There were only two people in the other direction. However, these two people made the Azura race and the World Annihilation race extremely wary. Because these two people were divine generals from the Heavenly Palace. They were not from the heavenly human race, but the blood race, which was one of the top 10 races. They looked to be in their 30s and wore blood-red robes. Even their eyes were blood-red. Three groups of people occupied three different directions. They had also followed the purple pill mosquito here. Of course, they weren't the only ones who came, there were people from other races as well. However, how could those small races dare to compete with these powerful races? They had long been chased away. Swish, swish. At this moment, another group of people flew over. They were from a small tribe called the Celestial Bear Tribe. They had also followed a group of purple pill mosquitoes here. Someone else is here. How annoying. A strong man from the Azura clan said coldly as he looked at the Celestial Bear Tribe. I think that if this continues, more and more people will come. Every time someone comes, we have to take action. It's too troublesome. Let's just kill these sky bears and place their bodies around here. Let's see if anyone dares to come. A burly man from the World Annihilation clan sneered. That makes sense. One of the two blood kindred powerhouses added. The blood race, the World Annihilation race, and the Azura race were all known for their bloodthirsty nature. At this moment, they were all filled with murderous intent. At the same time, the people of the Sky Bear tribe also saw the powerhouses of the three great tribes. Their expressions changed immediately. Oh no, it's the blood race, the World Annihilation race, and the Azura race. Let's go. The few burly men from the Sky Bear tribe were shocked. They naturally knew about the bloodthirsty tribes. When they saw them, they felt a chill in their hearts and immediately retreated. Since you're here, don't leave. You can only count yourselves unlucky. Kill. A blood-kindred powerhouse shouted coldly. A pair of blood-red wings extended from his back. With a flap of his wings, the blood-kindred powerhouse turned into a ray of blood-red light and charged toward the people of the Skybear tribe. At the same time, the World Annihilation race and the Azura race also charged toward the Skybear tribe powerhouses. Oh no! The people of the Skybear tribe were shocked. Everyone, we won't compete with you. We'll retreat now. A burly man from the Skybear tribe shouted. However, the powerhouses of the three great tribes ignored their shouts and continued to charge toward them. Poof! Poof! Damn it, let's fight it out with you. Kill. Fight it out with them. The remaining people of the Skybear tribe roared furiously. They turned into giant skybears and wanted to fight with their lives on the line. However, the combat power of the Skybear tribe powerhouses was obviously much weaker than the powerhouses of the three great tribes. Even if they wanted to fight with their lives on the line, it was useless. In less than a minute, the remaining people of the Skybear tribe were all killed. Then, the powerhouses of the three great tribes stabbed the bodies of the Skybear tribe into the ground with sharp blades to intimidate those who came later. Indeed, there were people who came later. However, when they saw the scene, their faces changed drastically and they retreated decisively. As time passed, the crimson light on the ground became more and more intense. Vaguely, one could see lines appearing on the ground. These lines intertwined with each other and formed an 8 trigrams pattern. Within the 8 trigrams pattern, one could see 3 elixir furnaces. The eyes of the people of the three great tribes shone with a burning light. Elixir furnaces. There were indeed elixir furnaces here, and there were 3 of them. They circulated their divine power to the maximum. As soon as the elixir field appeared, they would fight for the elixir furnaces. There are 3 elixir furnaces in the crimson elixir field. Not bad, not bad. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared. The powerhouses of the Blood tribe, the Annihilation tribe, and the Shura tribe were shocked. Now, there was someone who dared to come closer and was not far from them. Whoosh whoosh, many gazes turned in the direction of the voice and saw a young man walking through the air toward them. This young man was naturally Lu Ming. He had followed Purple Dan Mosquito all the way here. When he saw the 3 elixir furnaces, he was overjoyed and could not help but exclaim in admiration. This person is. When the people of the 3 great tribes saw Lu Ming, their eyes narrowed. They had all seen Lu Ming's portrait before. When they saw Lu Ming, they recognized Lu Ming. Mu Yun, it's Mu Yun. The powerhouses of the Heavenly Palace have said that as long as we kill him, we will be rewarded with the position of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. It's him, that's right. The powerhouses of the 3 great tribes exclaimed. Then, their eyes shone with a burning light and greed. At this moment, the ground rumbled slightly. The elixir field had completely appeared. If it had been before, the powerhouses of the 3 great tribes would have fought for the elixir furnaces with all their might. However, at this moment, no one made a move. Instead, they continued to stare at Lu Ming. Kill. Suddenly, a powerhouse of the Blood tribe roared. His crimson wings flapped rapidly. He turned into a crimson light and charged towards Lu Ming. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.